Hey guys, I had a request to show the embossing process from start to finish in a little bit more detail. Well, I want to do the embossing on Del Rey's upholstery for the 68, and I got to thinking everything I've ever seen about the embossing has been on a hard surface, and I was wondering, can you emboss on a soft surface? And so I played around with this. This is Del Rey's riding jacket, and the lining was toast. So I've made a new lining for him. Haven't put it all together. This is a front inside piece, another front inside piece. Actually, they'll go this way because this will go against the leather. So that's the inside. There's the shoulders. So this is the new lining. I still have to put the leather pockets in here, but that's that. And then here's the sleeves, all lined. And so I'm putting this together. And I thought it'd be sweet, and a good way for me to practice is if I embossed. I don't know if you can see that. Let me peek back here and see if this is picking it up. Okay, so a monogram. So that's what I'm going to be doing. This was my practice sheet. And this is, we had to work really hard at this. I'm just going to peel off a piece of paper because I had put spray adhesive on this piece of fabric and it stuck to everything. So I had to smack it on a piece of paper to keep it from sticking to my table. This is the back side. So I put fusible webbing on the what is going to be the front side of the material, and I'm not really sure I need to do that, but I think that I will go ahead with that. And then this, what is sandwiched in between here, is a piece of adhesive vinyl that I cut out on my Cricut. And so I'm going to do this again and put it right inside his jacket, right in the back, where a tag would go, but the tag, he had a nice leather tag in there, but years of wear, you couldn't read it or anything. So I thought it'd be really cool if he just had a monogram in there. So I wanted to show you how to do this start to finish since we had a request for it. So I made, this is polar fleece. And I know you can buy this material quilted already and everything, but not years ago, but when I had my sewing shop, I would buy polar fleece. I had a discount place that I bought from, and I could buy great big rolls. Like, I don't even know how many yards would come in that thing, but that's what I bought. And I've made several linings. I used to reline biker jackets all the time. Bikers were one of my main customers actually when I had a sewing shop, a sewing business. So anyway, so this is the vinyl, and this is by Vivid, if anybody cares, and it's adhesive. I actually bought this to put on my dashboard in the Kenworth, in Victoria, and I was going to recover all my wood grain panels in it. And it worked okay, and I probably could still use it. I was leaning toward a metal flake epoxy. I don't even know if I'm gonna tackle that one. But the problem with this adhesive was it would need probably another type of contact adhesive on it, because when I would tighten down the dash screws, it would kind of torque the fabric, and it just doesn't have the staying power that I wanted it to have for my dash. And it's a great product, but I kind of pushed it to its limits there. Anyway, so I have put, this is painter's tape because I don't have transfer tape. So, and I put a nice scripty design around this monogram. And like I said, this is my practice. This is leading up to the 68. And so this, you're getting to see all of my mistakes on this. And Katie and I, we went through all kinds of different materials, different vinyls, all kinds of stuff. Okay, so it's looking like I'm gonna need to weed this, and weeding is what they call in the crafting world when you pick out the parts that you don't want. I was thinking I wanted to pick this up all in one piece, but because I've got an adhesive, I don't know if that's really gonna work, and I'm gonna need to grab my scissors because that doesn't want to come apart. I had to actually trick the Cricut. I have a Cricut cutting, and I think I've got some video of that. I have a Cricut cutter that I actually had to trick it. If I put vinyl or heavy fabric down, if I tell it that that's what I'm cutting, then it requires me to put a rotary wheel on, and the rotary wheel just chews this stuff up. It will not cut this thick vinyl. So we told it that we were cutting cardstock, so it would use just the angled, kind of like a razor blade cutter, and that really cuts this nicely. So right now I'm just kind of squishing that frame back into place, and then I'm going to weed out, they have a pick for this, I'm going to weed out what I'm not going to put on here. And then hopefully I'll be able to pick up with that painter's tape what I am going to move over there. Okay, so you're going to be stubborn. No, I don't want you to move all over the place. And it really does take a minute to learn how to use all of these different programs. Okay, so I'm going to trim off what has already come loose so I don't fight with that. Because this S seems to need a little encouragement to come loose, and I might X-Acto knife, that's what I was trying to think of, but I have a razor blade over here, it's okay. And let's see how this one comes out over here. We'll take it out in pieces, make sure it behaves. I'm probably going to be quiet here so that when I get done with this video and put it into the editing, I can speed all this up so you guys don't have to watch me go through all this boring stuff. So you can see that. This is the fusible webbing, and again, I buy that by the bolt. So we're going to be putting this on the front side. this has a smooth side to it and a bumpy side. And this just gives your fabric a little stiffness. And it's the bumpy side that goes down. And it's kind of like, it's just an iron-on. I'm going to leave myself enough room up here for the seam allowance of putting this back in the jacket. So I'm going to come down a little bit, center it up. So you can't really see where it's at in the jacket on the fabric. It's just a little bit stiffer there rather than here. See, it's stiffer. So I'm going to do that again on the back side, where I'm going to put the vinyl down. Here, this off, hoping that it sticks to the tape and not the board. It seems to want to stick to the board a lot more than it wants to stick to the tape. I'm not looking so this is a little awkward. And it's not self-stitched as well, so I've got free see there is something on it. The vinyl tape and that. Okay. So this is actually pretty good. I'm going to trim this up just to help me center it. And then we're going to put this on the back wall. And this point right here and that point right there. Now, one thing you'll notice about this embossing is I can see from the front the outline of the back fabric. And so I only want to glue down just around the edge of this because I want to be very specific in the area that I glue so that I don't have all of this really stiff. It just leaves a wrinkle behind. And so I'd really like to contain that in just a very small area because I'm gluing the back to the front. So what I'm going to do, and that covers that. Now if I were to iron this, let me make sure that lines up. If I were to iron this, you would see it pop through, but it really pops through if you glue it. And that's, in any embossing, that's what you're going to do. There's going to be some type of gluing or a mega heat press, and I don't have a mega heat press, so we're going to glue. But I'm just flattening it out right now so that my seams match, my fabric matches still. I don't want to lose, because when you put that fusible webbing on the back, there's no longer any stretch to the fabric or stretch or give. It no longer stretches on the bias or anything. So I want to make sure I still have everything all lined up to put it together before I glue it. And get those wrinkles out before I put any glue on. And I don't want to press down to emboss it yet. So, like I said, I do want to glue just where this design is. And I don't have a really good ruler with me, so we'll just use the mat that we have from the Cricut that has the Cricut K emblems on it. So we're looking at, we're going to glue 8 inches by about 6 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that out on a piece of poster board, and then I'll have, and make myself a frame. So we said 8 inches by 6 inches. Shake up our adhesive. How much is that? 2 inches from the top. And spray the adhesive.
Power off.
done. That's actually ready to go on the other side. Probably should have lifted that up first. All right. Now we're going to flip it back around carefully now, because we want the vinyl monogram on the bottom. Make sure the iron's on here. All right, here we go. I really wanted this up a little bit higher. That's it, it's stuck. I'll have to work with it the way it is. So the first thing I'm going to do is iron it, and then I'm going to take a tool and press it in. It has a little ball on the end, and it's got a smaller ball on that end. So you go around the edge and press it in. Press it into the cracks or the very edge of your vinyl. Okay, there you have it. Hope you can see it. Let's see. So that is the inside back panel of Del Rey's riding jacket now. And I'll put it all together and I will show you the finished product. But that is fabric on fabric embossing. DIY style without a great big heat press, and it didn't turn out too bad. So this is the technique I'm going to be using on, this is the same vinyl that I just worked with, and I've cut out 8 of the circle K's to practice with, the crooked K's, and this is the technique that I'm going to be using on Del Rey's door panels and a larger one on the back panel of his sleeper. So stay tuned for that. Thanks, guys.